Speaking of smooth transitions, welcome to the OGSoG podcast, where we play a little thing called Podcast Mafia. Obviously, you know me, Mari, Lasercorn, and Sohinky. We're here.
Why is that obvious? What if this is their first video, Joven?
Oh, yeah, you don't know.
Yeah,
Don't say obviously.
Welcome to the OGSoG podcast. I'm the Jovenshire.
Weird assumption.
We also have Lasercorn, Sohinky, and Mari here. But today with us, we have a very special guest that I was able to reel in with free candy and a white van. We have Adrian, or as I know him, a droid from TickTock. Say hello, my friend.
Ooh, yeah,
A-droid.
I gotta stop you right there. It's A-droid.
A-droid.
reading problems.
You know what? I'm gonna let it slide this one time, but I swear if it happens again, I'm just.
I get that. I'm a the Jovenshire and not a the Jovenshire, so I respect
But Joven,
it.
you do understand that it's supposed to be like Android, right? Let me just get that. Just
Hey,
you understand that.
Adrian, is it?
I mean, yes and
give
no.
us
There's
the origin, please.
Oh my god, I do actually have a great story behind my gamer tag, but I'm gonna try to condense it into like a couple sentences. In high school, I was just about to get into Xbox Live. I just got like my mom to get an Xbox Live card. I didn't have a good name for myself, and everyone was playing Halo 3 at the time. So in the middle of the day, one day we go into like an emergency lockdown or like a test lockdown. It wasn't like super serious. And this girl who I had a huge crush on was in front of me, and I've known her for years. We were chatting it up, having a good time. She's doodling. She draws a robot, and she's like, Android. A-droid. Adrian. Hey, that's you, A-droid. And I was like... And then I made it my whole personality. So
Does she know?
I actually don't know if she knows. She's happily married now, and
that would be weird to send her a
That's
message.
amazing.
I was hoping the story was like, of course she knows, she's my wife.
Set up for the great story, but there you go. And so, Adrian, I'm super excited to have you here today because, as I mentioned before we started rolling, you are my conduit to all video game news because you popped up on my For You page on TikTok and you haven't left since. What has your rise or work on TikTok felt like for you? Because that's not your main everyday job, right? This is something you do on the side.
Yeah, it's something I do on the side. So as a professional career, like I've been working in social media for about 7-8 years now. And during the pandemic, when TikTok was really popping off, I had this great idea that I brought to my company, a very large media publishing company at the time. I was like, hey, I think we should do gaming stuff on TikTok. And they said, we don't have resources. So I was like, okay, I'm going to do it myself. And then I started gaining traction. And then I just kind of ran with it. And then they tried to copy me, and then it's fine. And I left that job now. It's fine.
You're like, I'm the resource. You're looking at it.
Imitation something compliments. But
something along those lines.
Let's talk about how Podcast Mafia works really quickly. Much like party games such as Mafia or One Night Werewolf, we are going to go through our podcast topics, but one of us secretly will be a killer and will use pre-selected phrases in order to kill one individual on the team. And then after the round is done, we will go through and try to guess who the winner is. And we are now implementing who the killer is. And we are now implementing a quick we're implementing a quick point system. So, do you want to go over that real quick?
Look at this stuff that got cut out. I went right into this explanation, by the way. I definitely did. So, hey, just, you know what? If you get killed, hey, you get a nice little consolation prize of 5 points. And while you're dead, you can also, as a revenge type of thing, guess who killed you. That's another 5 points. If you guess the killer but you're alive, you get 10 points. If you guess the phrase that slays, you get an additional 15 points. And if you are the killer and you get away with it, you get a whopping 20 points. And the winner of this gets an all-expenses paid trip and a grand tour of Lasercorn Studios. That's right.
Brought to you by Lasercorn Studios.
To Lasercorn Studios and have the grand tour. It's pretty large.
We have a Minecraft fridge.
Yeah.
I've done the tour.
Posted illegally.
Taxes and tips do not apply.
At the end of the tour, you're allowed to choose one item from the studio, and you get to take it home.
Yeah.
So that's
Disagree.
Out of there.
That's a great deal, honestly.
That is a great deal. Now I
think
really
that's
want to win.
And just a little house cleaning. If you are watching this on YouTube, you're only seeing a clip from the What did I say? I said house cleaning, didn't I? I need to
You
clean
should
my
do
house.
some real life housekeeping. I'm not
All
one
right,
to talk. But
now
yeah.
for some housekeeping. If you're watching this on YouTube, this is just a clip from our full version. You can listen to the full episode on Spotify or Apple Music. We have a link to that down below. Or if you want to join our Patreon, you can watch the full video version plus extended versions of all of our future videos as well. Click the link down below to check that out. But now it is time to play Podcast Mafia with our special guest,
Dun, dun.
Hey
Can I do
Droid.
that? Hey Droid, you nailed it. I will say,
I knew I was supposed to say it.
he might have mispronounced the name at the start, but Joven for weeks has been being like, we got to get this guy on the
Yeah,
podcast.
he
He's
loves
was.
your stuff.
Yeah.
Big fan.
Oh, thanks. I appreciate it.
I was like, this is how you do gaming content on TikTok. Do this.
Hey, that was my pitch to my company years ago. So
Don't worry, we are too lazy to do anything, so your content is safe with you. But we're going to jump into our first topic while producer Paco starts to get messages out to people describing who our killer
Turn
is
your
going to be.
cameras off, I guess. At this
So
point.
turn your cameras off so we don't see you reading messages. Lasercorn. Our first topic, I'm excited for this one. It was the last topic I thought of, but as soon as I said it out loud, I was like, oh, we have to do this one. This is a fun one. The topic itself is, what is the video game console and handheld system Mount Rushmore?
So you can include handheld stuff, but don't have to, is what you're saying.
Yes.
gotcha.
Oh, I read this differently. I thought it was we're only talking handheld. So I'm going to strike Game Gear off from my handheld.
Oh yeah.
Game Gear was
wasn't
great.
bad.
It was
Yeah.
Awesome.
it was Sega's jump into that world, though it was the AA battery killer. I'd
Yeah.
maybe
6 AA. No, 6
Eight.
AA's.
I think it was
Yeah,
8.
it was
think it was
6 or
six.
8.
It was six?
It was
I
a
think it was
lot.
six.
Too
I
many.
remember like using almost a whole battery pack to take it on a car trip, and then it was
Yep.
just like, yeah, it was like the only car trip I took it on.
The way I remember it, though, it was so vibrant. I haven't seen one IRL in a long time, but the way I remember it, it's like VR. It was so immersive the way I remember
Well,
it.
also compared to the Game Boy at the time, which was just
Two different
greens.
worlds.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And even Game Boy Color, like the colors weren't really, it wasn't like that. It wasn't like
Yeah.
full color like that.
Well, so Inky, I'm actually excited for your take on this one, so I'm gonna let you go first.
Okay. I mean, I guess I'll just say them, and then I'll, if I need to defend it or whatever. But my video game Mount Rushmore, and I looked this up to make sure I was doing it right. Mount Rushmore has 4 heads on it. So
Or heads, unless you'd like to dynamite another head.
I was like,
in
are
there.
there 5? I don't know. So, anyways, I think it just doesn't make sense to not have both the Super NES and the Sega Genesis. I think both of those have to be on there. They kind of defined an era of gaming. And then similarly, the next era, I think, is the PlayStation 2 and the Xbox 360. And then beyond that, I know obviously there's only 4 spots, but I think the entire mountain is just made of a giant PC tower. That's kind of how I see it.
Yeah,
it's just
It's built on inside the PC tower, is what
Exactly.
you're saying. Oh,
Yes.
okay.
so much
Wait,
like
what's
gaming
it?
itself, it is based on the shoulders of PC gaming.
Yeah.
understand.
I mean, games, this is well, actually, you know what? It might have been like around the same time as Atari, but like gaming, it was.
The prompt is video game console.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Rushmore.
Well,
And
then
handheld.
I'll say. Then how about this? Then I'll say the entire mountain is a Commodore 64
Okay.
or 128. But yeah, I just think like the way I thought of it is like the consoles that kind of defined the generation. And at first I was like, man, should Atari be on there? And I was like, well, Atari started it, but like, there's not like. I mean, well, I shouldn't say there aren't. There's clearly some, but I just feel like Atari didn't like define a generation of gaming the way like NES and Genesis did.
Now, I do think it's interesting because you're talking about defining generations of gaming, but you have the Super Nintendo and the Genesis on there, which were the same gaming generation, and then you had the Xbox 360 and what?
PlayStation 2.
Which again, the same generation. So
Yeah.
with the
But it's like
presidents on,
two sides of the same generation because like there's always been the 2 teams.
so really what you're representing is the console wars on one mountainside.
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
That makes sense, I
Wars
think.
are what we remember in history, Joven.
Yeah.
And it's the winners and losers that make them.
I do realize that I left off the N64, which I think a lot of people are going to have on there, but I just was not... That console was not really a part of my life, so my personal Mount Rushmore is does not include the 64.
Well,
so I understand its relevance in the discussion.
Let's hear what other people have. Our guest, Adrian, you've now heard how this works. I'm going to let you give us your Mount Rushmore of consoles and handhelds.
Yeah, all right. So I was eating pizza while I was thinking about this, and I think that really adds
It's so perfect.
to what I was thinking about when I was thinking about all these different consoles and handheld. And again, this is my own personal Mount Rushmore, and not to say that like I know anything about Mount Rushmore or why those presidents are on there. Whatever. First and foremost, I gotta say the PS2. I think it's like one of the most iconic consoles ever, just in terms of like sheer games you could play on there, backwards compatibility.
I think it still has the largest library, I think, to date.
It's huge. I remember like going into like Blockbuster game stores whenever and just like looking at the PS2 wall, and it's like, you know, like
By wall, you mean like 2.5 walls connected?
Yeah, right. It's like the first time I ever felt like anxiety about like choosing a game. I'm like, oh god, where do I go? And I really loved the PS2. Second, and this is kind of like you're gonna have to work with me here, okay? I first said the Game Boy Advance just because I think, in my opinion, it was like the best handheld for the time. However, I'm going to nix that and I'm gonna say the Nintendo DS. Because
Interesting.
I thought it was a really great handheld, backwards compatibility, bright screen, internet connection, great games. And maybe it was just me. I know like a lot of people my age at that time were not playing the Nintendo DS, or at least like everyone I went to school with, they all just wanted to play basketball, and I'm like, nerds, I'm gonna do both.
Yeah, you nerdy basketball jocks.
Is the DS the one that had that weird 3D screen on it?
Well, that was the Nintendo 3DS.
Oh, it's 3DS.
So that was the next gen, which I do think is great, but I'm going to take it off the Mount Rushmore. I don't think it belongs on there. It was great for what it was, but just not for me. I mean, there's a reason why Nintendo came out with the Nintendo 2DS, right?
Right.
Let's all think about that for a second. But third,
I mean, you
Xbox
could turn the 3D off, but yeah.
True, that is true. I like never had it on because I hated getting migraines.
Same. Yeah, same. It wasn't the best.
It was great
terrible.
tech. It was glasses-free 3D.
It was really cool, but it was like, why do I need this on the subway? You know, it's like
It really messed up your eyes, man. It was bad.
A lot of games, it felt like it wasn't really working for me.
Yeah. I would get headaches very often playing it. Like, there's no reason I need to compete with like people internationally on Mario Kart 7 while having 3D on. Like, I needed to focus up.
Yeah.
Xbox 360, I'm going to throw on there. I mean, that is like, in my opinion, the definition of online gaming. I mean, just so many games. Halo 3, Call of Duty, you can throw in there, like right in those like prime time eras. It was just
Modern
iconic.
Warfare 2.
Modern Warfare 2. That was my Call of Duty game of choice. I was pretty quote unquote sick nasty at it. I will say that.
I wonder if I'm sick nasty at any games.
There are a few games I'm going to say that I'm pretty sick nasty at, and I'm going to throw up Modern Warfare 2 as like being one of those like top 3 I'm going to throw in there. And then lastly, I feel like this might be kind of like a curveball, or maybe not. I'm going to throw the Nintendo Wii on there. And my reasoning for it was it was pretty cheap, right? Like, it was very accessible from like a financial standpoint to get into gaming, but also the eShop for what it was insane. You could get so many games on there, like from all of the generations, even like leading up to Nintendo 64, and it could play on the Nintendo Wii. I thought that was great. And if I will say, it was very easy to hack and do cool things with. So.
For those who would do that.
I am reporting you to Nintendo, sir.
I don't know who would ever do that. I don't know who would ever do that.
Come for you.
Mari, who's on your Mount Rushmore of consoles?
Let's see. A lot of these have been said already. I think a lot of these are going to be like, again, my personal. I'll go in kind of order of this. So I put Genesis on there. I think for me, it was the first time that I saw from a game company with their marketing like this MTV generation punk rock sort of like F the competitor type of feeling, and I just got drawn in.
Did you watch the Console Wars documentary?
No.
Give it a watch. I can't remember if it's Apple or if it's Peacock or it's one of like the other streaming services, and it's
I'm sure they love to hear that they're the other.
well, like it's not one of like the first three big ones. Anyways, better content on these other platforms for sure. Anyways, they the whole marketing behind the Genesis, they go so deep into it. I think you'd really like that watch.
Oh man, whatever it was, I was drinking that Kool-Aid so hard because my neighbor had an NES and a SNES, and I was like, screw you, dude. That one sucks. You're such a goody two-shoes.
I got Altered Beast. They're naked.
Yeah. So I fully love that for that. Xbox 360s on my Mount Rushmore. That was the first console as a college student. I think at the time I was like, I can't have this.
I do think that if the 360 ends up on Rushmore, they need to like have molten lava or something going through the ring so that it can be a red ring permanently.
That's true. That's
So
true. We need to remember all the moments.
Yeah, the red ring.
Yeah, I had to sell my console. That was like one of the moments in my life where I remember. I put the Switch on there because I
That's a
think
good one.
that for a handheld, Jesus Christ, I am still amazed with how simple it is to take it from the dock, and I'm playing it on my TV. I take it off, and it's so seamless going into handheld, and I can just put it back on the dock. I'm still amazed. What, all these years later, they haven't touched the system since 2017?
I think it's a perfect system. Maybe some grip issues, but it's a perfect console.
Grip issues, yes. It is way too thin for the grip.
Well, and the A and B buttons are backwards, as they always do.
That's the Nintendo problem.
The Nintendo classic. They love to be
it's Japanese, so it's left to right.
I guess so. I guess you can.
I never thought about that.
Yeah, me either.
It just occurred to me, so I wonder if that's what it is.
PlayStation is Japanese, dude.
Yeah.
Well, they have X's and circles.
Yeah, they got shapes.
I guess they're
Excuse me.
agnostic.
Apparently, officially, it's a cross. Isn't that what they say?
Yeah.
Is it really not
All
a...
right.
Okay.
Like they call it cross instead of X or something like
And
that.
Mari, is Switch your number 3 or is that your number 4?
That's my number 3. My number 4. I'm kind of in the same vein as Sohinki. I put PC in general. I think because it is so important for competitive gaming, and competitive gaming I think is still kind of in its infancy, and we're going to see a lot more.
Okay.
Not a console. You lose
Not a
5
console.
points.
Lose 5 points.
Prompt was console.
I call
not
hey, my
retro.
PC
Console.
likes
It is
to
a
be called a console. So.
Yeah, there is a console that you plug things into.
Lasercorn, show them how it's done. Give them your 4 Mount Rushmore consoles.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of mine have been said. N64, I think, just for the sheer amount of amazing, local co-op games that you had. Mario Kart, you had Smash Brothers, you had, of course, GoldenEye 64, the GOAT. Some of the most fun experiences I ever had in my life. Just
Glad you said
getting
N64.
Yeah, just getting together with all my friends, playing those games was
Never
amazing.
invited me.
What's it like having friends?
Dang.
Well, I wanted people who were good at those games and who could keep up with me.
What a dick!
I didn't enjoy my. Yeah, but we used to have like sleepovers and make popcorn and stuff, and my parents would let us stay up late playing those games, so that was cool.
Hey, Lasercorn, can we have a sleepover where we play video games all night?
We can. We should make a video.
That'd actually be fun, dude.
Yeah,
We should do that.
OGSoG
Bet
video
you
game
everybody
sleepover.
falls asleep at 1 a.m.
One,
Please.
I'm not making it that far.
11:30.
10:30. I need some warm milk
I-
for my tummy.
I was playing games till 3 a.m. last night, like a degenerate.
Same, dude.
You guys are braver.
All right, so you got N64 on there. What else do you got?
And then, so here's the thing. I don't remember which games were on PS1 and which games were on PS2. I'm probably thinking PS2. Like Twisted Metal 2, and then was Metal Gear Solid on PS1 or 2?
Twisted Metal 2 was on PlayStation 1.
Oh, they were
fir-
both on PS1?
Yeah, the first
Yeah.
PlayStation Twisted Metal was Twisted Metal Black, which was a launch
The only
title.
one. Yeah.
Okay.
And then Metal Gear 1 was on, or Metal Gear Solid 1 was on PS1.
Yeah.
Okay, then PS1. Let's go with that because I spent a lot of time jamming out to those games. Yeah, and PlayStation 1 was kind of like a whole new thing. Like, they had entered the console wars. It was kind of an exciting shakeup.
And CDs. It was crazy.
And CDs.
Yeah.
It's like what? What? It was.
Well,
insane.
Sega CD existed before. that.
No, it didn't.
No, it didn't.
Good second pick so far. Different consoles that no one else has said. Keep it going.
Xbox 360. That is one I believe we heard.
I think we've all said at this point.
Yeah, but
so
just
good.
a lot of great games. Halo, of course. And then the Switch. The Switch is also one of mine. It's the ultimate dad console. Basically, you can, if your kids are hogging the TV, watching their dumb Minecraft YouTubers, you just pop it out of the case and you play whatever you want. Phenomenal game.
We're dumb YouTubers.
Yeah, we're those dumb YouTubers. Yeah, Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom, Luigi's Mansion, Mario Odyssey, just a ton of good games for it. Good individual games, and like a lot of those games are just awesome to play with your kids if you have them. Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze, because it's very easy to carry a player who's just learning video games in those. You just have them be Cappy or Luigi or whatever. And you just carry him through, and so it's kind of the ultimate dad console. Me and my sons have a lot of good memories on those. Mario Party we still play a lot. Mortal Kombat and Smash Brothers.
Do you let your kids win in any of those games?
No. Oh, of course
Okay,
not.
I don't think so.
So
They got to learn the hard way.
Those are some really good mountains. I'm impressed. I thought I would wait. Oh wait, I haven't read my list yet.
Yeah.
Hold on, I'm not used to having five people.
I thought you were setting up for a burn that all of our mountains sucked or something.
No,
I was ready.
I'm used to 4 people, so all right. Well, I'll just go through mine pretty quickly. So in comparing them to the actual presidents, George Washington, guy who kind of did it right officially for the first time.
he?
You have NES. I did put the PS2 on here, though I'm glad Lasercorn got the PS1 on there because it does deserve its credit. But PS2, just because it has the largest game library, deserves
Which
it.
president is that?
I'm gonna go that with
The second one.
Thomas Jefferson because of the economic growth. Sure.
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 Xbox
I don't know enough
360.
about history.
Xbox 360 is my Teddy Roosevelt because online play is everything for games these days, and so
and Teddy Roosevelt loved online play.
he did.
Yeah,
He-
famous platform.
And there's a lot of Xbox gamers that can't get out of bathtubs. So
Yeah, so it makes sense. And I do think that when it comes to the Mount Rushmore of consoles, I think that Nintendo should be on here twice. But it's what is the second one? And I think you have to go with a system that was innovative. It was ahead of its time. People didn't think it was going to work, but then eventually other consoles and other companies started to take those aspects. And of course, I'm talking about the Virtual Boy, right? It's 3D, it's VR. No, I'm just kidding. Of course, with all the same things, it's the Wii. My grandma had a Wii. It was the highest selling console. I think still is. Maybe Switch might have passed it. But because it was just so widely owned, everyone had Wii Sports and they could play Wii Bowling. Everyone had it. So it just took gaming to a very different place. I think before that, gaming was niche. And then, the Wii brought it everywhere else. And then, same thing. Other people started trying motion controls and they're like, nope. This is just a Nintendo thing. Don't want it. Don't need it. So
Is Wii your Abraham Lincoln?
I
Is that the last person on Mount Rushmore?
yes. And it's because he brought freedom to all gamers.
I have to say I got to correct my history joke. It was William Howard Taft that got stuck in the bathtub, so my burn is no good.
no
All right,
good.
deduct 10 points.
That
Yeah.
history
Minus
buffs.
25 points.
I started this question wanting to put the GameCube on there, but it's just one of my favorite consoles. I don't think it belongs on the.
Yeah, GameCube kind of existed in a vacuum.
Yeah.
Like you either had it or you didn't, and it wasn't.
Luigi's Mansion was great on it.
The games were. That's another topic. Maybe I'll say that for the next time I host.
Melee is just like lasted forever and ever, and like people.
You don't want to get me started on Melee. I'll just say that right
on the next podcast.
on the next one.
With that said, let's find out if someone died. Find out if someone died.
Buried underneath the rubble of every console in history, you see the broken and bloodied body of Sohinky.
Damn it! Give me those 5 points.
He's on the board, ladies and gentlemen.
So he's got points. Producer Paco's keeping track of points.
Wow, that's a tongue twister. Producer Paco's keeping track.
Yeah. I definitely was keeping notes the whole time while I was tracking time, making sure everyone got their answers. So let's start with Mari. Mari, do you have any guesses on who it might be?
Okay, so I forgot to take notes until Lasercorn because his first sentence was really strange. I feel like the way he said local co-op games, it sounded like he was a boomer who's never played video games ever in his entire life, and he sounded like a suit saying it, and he's like, these are Gen Z
Call me a
kids, eh?
suit?
That's what you sounded like, dude.
The guy who wears jorts?
You sounded like a suit. Okay, yeah, anyway, it was the local co-op games that he said. And then he said entered the console wars, which also sounded kind of fishy, but it was just the way you said local co-op games. It sounded like you didn't know what it was.
You are a corpo. How dare you call me a suit?
He was the only one that talked about the N64, and I thought the N64 was going to be on everyone's Rushmore. That's why I felt comfortable not putting it on. How about you, Adrian? Anyone stand out to you as a killer?
You all did. I can't believe it. As soon as I got in here, I was like, I can't trust any of them.
You shouldn't.
Well, I don't know. I hate to point fingers.
You're allowed to, though. We take it not personally.
I know we're talking about how accessible the Wii was, right? And like how everyone was getting into it, but bringing up your grandma?
My grandma's a sweet lady who deserves more attention.
Yeah, I mean, I got to say, I mean, that was what threw me off.
Really, you wouldn't? You would? I'm more even.
You know why I'm doing it? Because my grandma also had a Wii in her house, but she wasn't playing it.
Oh, so I come from a very young family. They all got pregnant when they were 16. So my grandma would kick my ass at Wii bowling.
Ah, damn. Well, she has probably years and years of like actual bowling experience, I'm assuming.
You're not wrong. Yes, her and my mom were on a league together.
Great instincts to assume that Jovan's the killer, though. Those are good instincts.
Yeah. It's just safe. It's a safe bet.
It usually is.
I'm not even offended by the accusation. I'm just more surprised that you wouldn't want the Wii on the.
No, the Wii was on mine.
Oh,
the Wii
that's what. Yeah,
I love the Wii.
So it's just because I brought up my grandma. Okay, sure.
Yeah. Sounds like a lot of deflecting. Sounds like a real killer mood there, Jovan.
Keeping time going. So Hinky, who do you have?
Oh, he's dead.
I'm dead.
That's right.
So you know,
Lasercorn. We haven't gone to Lasercorn yet.
Man, I'm really mad that Mari called me a suit, so I wish I had something for her, but I don't. I didn't have any notes on her. Adrian said the phrase, one of the most iconic, which seems like something Paco would send to you to try and slip in as a kill phrase. Jovan said George Washington, so he started with the George Washington analogy, but then when when the next one came up, he didn't do a president. He's just like, he kind of came up with presidents on the fly.
No, it's I went in. I was thinking of the order because it goes.
You don't know he's a history buff.
Yeah, it's Washington, Jefferson, Teddy, and then ends with Lincoln.
So it sounded like when we were having the conversation that you said George Washington because you had to say it, and then it's like, right, I'm supposed to do presidents for everyone else. And then it seems like you just kind of on the fly came up with which is which after that.
I literally have a list here of like what president and associated with which console. I thought you guys were going to call me out because the NES isn't the first console. So why would I put that with Washington? Why not go with Atari? So thank you for not calling me out on that.
This is my favorite Jovan move where he talks about all the suspicious things he said.
I know, because I have to do it every single time because you call me out on everything.
You also bring up other points that makes you a lot more suspicious.
Yeah.
All right, well, I'll be able to debunk all of that in a moment. But I will say, as someone that wasn't paying attention or taking notes, Mari, the second thing you said about it was the Gaming Wars. That actually does sound like a Paco pick for a phrase.
The Gaming Wars?
Or the Console Wars.
Gaming
Console
Wars?
Wars. Console Wars.
Oh, she said the first
No,
time.
I'm sorry, Mari.
1993, the gaming.
Mari,
Wars.
you mentioned Lasercorn said the Console Wars, and I think that sounds more like a phrase than slays than local co-op. So I would go towards that. For rebuttals, who are first votes? Mari went with Lasercorn. Adrian went with me, and Lasercorn. Who you landing on?
You.
Okay. Starting with a Lasercorn rebuttal.
Yeah, Console Wars is like a very well-known thing. If we're talking about a console Mount Rushmore, it is just a thing that literally the word console is in the prompt. I don't know.
Say local co-op games without sounding like a corpo.
Local co-op game.
Nope. Yeah.
Dude, it had how do you say how else would you describe a multiplayer game? I almost said couch co-op.
Yeah, couch co-op.
Yeah, couch co-op.
That's what I would say.
Yeah.
That was probably the better
Yeah.
phrase. Fine.
Split screen.
I sounded
Split
like a
screen,
Kuro.
screen peeking. You know,
But what if
Playing
you what
with
if you
your
didn't?
friend?
But we never played on the couch. We always sat on the floor.
I'm having a thought now. My memory slips me right now. Who was talking about having a sleepover?
That was Lasercorn.
Lasercorn.
I don't know.
No, someone else.
Vicious.
Oh yeah, I did say we had sleepovers as a kid. Someone else suggested that we have a sleepover. And
Yeah,
play games.
because that sounds fun. Adrian, you were not voted in, so no rebuttal from you. Mari, no rebuttal from you and me. So my rebuttal's pretty simple. I literally almost ended the segment even before going over my list. So I thought we were done and out, and then had to rush my answers through. So
Nice cover.
thank you.
That's solid. That's a solid
My
cover.
my ineptitude is hardly a genius tactic. All right. So
Or is it?
or is it?
Or is it?
I've been trying to convince people that for years. They still don't believe me. So okay, so
Hey,
now
good job though.
we've heard rebuttals. I want to get through this topic as fast as possible. Now we'll go through final votes. So if anyone has swayed you, we'll go ahead and start with the first person to put an accusation out there was Mari. Where would you like to land your vote?
Mr. Local Co-op Games, Moss.
And then Adrian, we went to you second, I think. So final vote. Where would you like to land it?
I'm keeping with you, Joven. I'm sorry.
All right. Lasercorn.
Forgive me.
Who would you like to keep your final vote on?
Joven, I'm going to keep it with you as well.
So even though I literally just painted the beautiful picture of the
so
fact that I
He
almost
does get
skipped
mad when
completely.
you catch him.
All right, so I'm sticking with Lasercorn because I think that it is Console Wars. So Inky, we have a tie, 2 for me, 2 for Lasercorn. Who do you think it is? You've been deadfully silent this whole time, as you should
Yeah,
be.
I've been listening a lot. I had the exact same phrases that Mari mentioned for Lasercorn. What I had written for you was took gaming to a very different place, was something you said, but also it's like, I don't know, it's slightly misphrased almost, so it doesn't seem necessarily like a Paco thing. So, I think Mari's
Can I just
instinct...
say-
Oh, go ahead.
I mean, Joven always does this. He gets very mad when he's caught, and he thinks he made a very good
you.
rebuttal.
I get very mad every time because no matter what, you guys try to
We
kill
can
me.
literally, Paco
look at
cut back
every
in the footage to
episode.
the last time we caught him, and he gets very mad
because look at every episode. Whether I am killed first or you kill me during the round, I never make it alive through any round.
All right.
All right, I'm gonna...
Joven sus.
Yeah.
I'm always sus.
But you getting this angry is the only. I was like about to reveal that I was voting for Lasercorn, and you're getting real aggro.
Sure, vote for me. I don't care anymore.
We'll see.
I just can't make it to the end with you guys.
I think Mari's right with local co-op games for Lasercorn, but just to have a chance of maybe separating myself out from the pack and getting more points, I'm gonna say Lasercorn, but my phrase that I'm gonna select is "entered the console wars."
That was a weird one. That was a weird one.
And Paco, let us know what happened.
The killer this round was obviously Jovenshire.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I told you guys.
Yeah.
I knew I had him pegged the whole
but
time.
no, I'm angry because you always. I can never make it to the end of any
you
round.
have the exact same reaction every time I catch you in a lie, and like we had this like
no,
back to the
that's
last
not
time I
good.
caught you.
That is not a good
What was the
observation.
phrase? Keep it moving. What was the phrase?
The phrase is virtual boy. And of course, I'm talking about the virtual boy, right?
Virtual
Virtual boy.
not George Washington.
No.
Okay. I thought it was just a bit.
Just know you didn't fool me at all, Joe.
No, because your detective instincts are
You act the
dumb.
same way. Yeah,
Yes.
no, my
you say the same thing every time. All right. So
No,
next
you act
topic.
the same way every time you get.
You had me fooled.
Thank you, Mari.
So Hinky, you made a grave error.
I kind of knew you were right. I was playing the point. No, I knew you were right, but like I was playing the points game, and I was like, this is like.
Well, you just gave Joven 20 points.
Yeah,
so.
but I didn't have a good phrase for Joven. That was the thing that made me wanna.
Wait, does he get away with it because he had 2 on him?
No, it doesn't matter. He didn't get.
Final
he
vote
didn't
went
get
to Lasercoin.
killed. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I got my
that's how
5 points.
Podcast Mafia works. Hopefully, I'm never the killer ever again, and you guys will just continue to kill me no matter what.
Hey, if you're watching this here on YouTube, this is just a small portion of the OGSoG podcast, but you could see the entire video version, the extended video cut, like all these wonderful people that are supporting us on Patreon. Check out patreon.com/OGSoG. In addition to extended cuts, we also do Q&As, react videos, all kinds of fun stuff. So head on over there and check out all the different tiers you can do, like all these cool people right on over there.